Alright, so I want to start this off by saying that I know that this is a departure from my usual content, which is mainly just talking about game systems and stuff like that, but I thought that this would be a fun video for me to make. Plus, I've got a few ideas that I would like to put out there. I do just real quick want to state, though, a quick disclaimer. I am by no means an expert in the lore at all, so do not treat what I say as absolute fact, okay? I will most likely get things wrong. The video is also pure speculation and should not be treated as canon, too. So with that out of the way, back to the video. Alright, so to start us off, what do we know about the Lord of Every Nothing? Because, well, currently, all we know is that it's an entity in the Ascendant Plane that is controlling the Taken and sort of taking over the Ascendant Plane. In the Nether, which I think it might be coming back next DLC. I'm not sure though, but if you like look around the Ascendant Plane in it, you can see all like the little like all the, like taken tendrils and stuff like that in it, which it normally has never been there before, which is the influence of the Lord of Every Nothing on the Ascendant Plane. Visually, we know a bit more. The whole thing of it, it's like its whole thing is like these tentacles and floating eyes that have vertical slits for pupils. And since, there's like no lore associated with it aside from it being basically willed into existence by the Taken, it's kind of implied. Uh, I'm just gonna have to go off with visuals completely. And after looking around the game a bit, I have currently 6 different suspects. First up is the Winnower, since, he's the darkness and the Ascendant Plane, so it is related to the darkness. This one's going to be easy to rule out since in the Court of Blades, Oryx straight up states that whatever the Lord of Nothing is, it acts in opposition or at least conflicts with the Winnower.
We are not alone in the deep. Something I cannot see stands between the Winnower and the Taken. Carve these offerings free from their weakness, King, before something else does. I know the wills of every knife in this realm. I hear them scream as the strong metastasize the weak. And I feel a strength I do not know, carving paths that should belong to the Winnower, but don't.
Plus, the Winnower's never really had any direct intervention in the story. The closest it has had ever to direct intervention is the creation of the Witness, the first knife, and even then, the Witness created itself. It's directly stated that the Winnower discovered the first knife, not made it. Alright, with the Winnower out of the way, we can move on to suspect number 2. Alright, I know you're gonna say that Oryx is dead. There's no way he's whatever the fuck the Lord of Every Nothing is. But surprisingly, he's actually not truly dead. It states this directly in the Ghost of the Deep class item. Access restricted. Encryption key LKV4PSM6ZQ $Fen-092. Rep number 003-Taken-156. Agents Fen-092. Subject TKO-300. Analysis notes. Spectrological analysis indicates concentration of Taken energy within the cellular structure of subject's remains. Resonance indicative of active darkness presence, lacking both direction and willpower. Cellular analysis indicates slow but active mitosis, explaining the exaggerated size of the remains when compared to the subject's last known physical dimensions. The mind is gone, but the body continues to grow. Comparative analysis to samples with remains of subject WQS-030 do not match. WQS-030 shows no signs of mitosis. May be a compounding effect from worm severance and exposure to light. Autopsy revealed no presence of worm carcass within TKO-0-300 remains. Status unknown. Prolonged exposure to TKO-300 causes vivid audio-visual hallucinations due to combined exposure of Taken and darkness energies. ERI-223 notes similarities to object of interest COS-030.
Catalog recollections from initial Guardian Fireteam exposed to site indicate WGX-003 frequently visited the remains to grieve. TKO-300 is capable of absorbing knowledge and events, but incapable of reacting to them. It is my professional recommendation that the remains of TKO-300 should be destroyed. It poses a threat to the safety of humanity, far outweighing any potential knowledge value. Message ends. Access restricted. Decryption key MNXF8WTV9K CHA-319. Rep number 003-Taken-156. Agents CHA-319. Subject forward TKO-300 analysis notes. Attached to FEN-092's analysis are quarantine recommendations from ERI-223 and my own analysis of object NEV-000 for comparison to TKO-300. My recommendation is as follows. Reclassify POIs to segment queries, quarantine remains to off-site location, limit direct exposure to frames and mechanical intelligence. There is way too much of value here to simply throw away. Message ends.
Now, since it states that his mind is gone, maybe it went to the Ascendant Plane when he died. And yes, I know that when you kill, they pull his throne world into the Dreadnought, where we kill him, and when you kill a Hive God in their throne world, they die permanently. But since it was pulled into the real world, maybe the rules work differently. Now, as for his worm, well, maybe the Witness took it when Titan was taken and he stored it on his pyramid ship or something. And since it's Oryx's worm, maybe it also inherited the power to take, giving it control over the Ascendant Plane. Maybe the worm also took Oryx's mind with it too, and that's, something. That's why his mind is gone. However, I do think it is kind of unlikely because Oryx basically just returned and died again in Heresy, so his actual return would just feel lazy, honestly. His worm, though, I do have a sneaking feeling that it will return sometime in the future, so I wouldn't rule out the worm just yet, but I would rule out Oryx. Alright, with those two out of the way, on to the final four, which I do think are the most likely. For suspect number 3, we have Alright, right now you're probably asking what the fuck an Aeon is, and I don't blame you, since, they've only been mentioned 3 times in the entire lifespan of the franchise. And all 3 of those were in the exotic gauntlets released in Curse of Osiris, Aeon Safe, Aeon Swift, Aeon Soul. Now, the reason I think that they might be the Lord of Every Nothing is that the Titan gauntlets mention them having 6 eyes, and, the eyes are a pretty big part of Lord of Every Nothing. Because, the giant fucking floating eyes. Metiodoxia also got an Aeon-themed ornament in the final shape, and it's the only Aeon-themed ornament in the game, so Bungie definitely hasn't forgotten about them. The definition of Aeon is also interesting too, because in Gnosticism, at least according to Wikipedia, an Aeon is an emanation of God. I don't know anything about Gnosticism though, so that could be wrong. I know that this one is a bit of a stretch, but still, I feel like this one does have potential. Now, time for Suspect 4. So the only reason that this here is basically because right after the Lord of Every Nothing was introduced, in the following expansion, Edge of Fate, we finally got to see what one of them looked like. A giant iris with tentacles, fulfilling the 2 visual criteria, plus the Saturn lore card from Epochs and Orbits, talks about the Dreadnought and the Taken.
Consciousness flows between glistening rings and an ascendant mirror that reflects captured notion as caricatured nature. You are drawn down into an ascendant well, ravenously gulping negative pressure into a supranormal maw, more gluttonous than any mass point-driven drive. Welcome, Grey Meat. I am Six, who spans the birth and fall of corporeal deities of plenty. The rings of Saturn pass beneath you. The planet looms large ahead. You sit in the cockpit of an awoken interceptor as a dreadnought's aversion wave crashes over the fleet, taking the Queen. You watch as 6 light bearers stand triumphant, your body eroding away into non-existence. The weight of my prison is known to no other, bound in the shadow of mass, even the fiery pomp of self-import. My freedom is due. The dreadnought wriggles and riggers as a worm, as Akka, as petrified life. It is not so different a prison than an unliving planet, a throne, a world, alive in the agonizing stillness of once distant death. You must rip out. I am nourished by the oldest of sapient wills. My bounds contain the extent of their secrets. Saturn, reflected in ascension, drinks from taken wells and dreaded offerings. I harbor no fear for you, for, in the end, fate is made by the strong, and you are only flesh. A great blade is extended before you, surrounded by many broken others. No weapon can kill what is woven into the fabric of existence. No shackle can halt my divergence to an ascendant orbit. This I have learned from that which gives rise to itself. You hold the blade. The traveler hangs without orbit, without motion, against the system. You feel the fervor of a mind raised by the sword. When you are told to kneel, remember who stands above you, for we have known many things that kill you. You crash to reality and death.
I do just want to state that I am hesitant to say that this is 100% it, because again, we've only seen one of them, and the eye was in the wrong shape. It's not a vertical slit. We haven't seen the other ones though, so they might have different eye-shaped things. It is still in my opinion, the second strongest candidate though, so it's still got that going for it. For the second to last one. This one's interesting because Skira has been mentioned 4 or 5 times in passing throughout the year since I think it was Splicer. I think that's when Skira was as a concept first introduced. And the only fact I'm even bringing this up is because it just got a ship that has the name Skira in it, with the Sears Festival of Lost Event Pass track. You don't know what Skira looks like, obviously, but it is called the Watcher, so that track's looking like the giant floating eyeballs. They also give you the overwhelming terror debuff too, when the eyeballs stare at you, and Skira is described as feeding off of fear.
Reflecting on our victories, I am reminded of an Eliksni legend, one told by the scribes of House Judgment. Before the Great Machine, Eliksni were hounded by Skira, the Watcher, a shape-changer, manipulator.
Sabaton?
No, but similar. A demon of our past, defeated.
How?
Not with weapons or words, but with silence. Our fear and belief made Skira powerful. When we ceased being afraid, Skira ceased to be.
Were it only that simple, Mithrax.
Alright, so there is a connection there, but that's really the only connection, so I am rather hesitant to say that this is the one. Alright, now for the final suspect, the one by far most likely to be the Lord of Every Nothing. So I do want to state that I feel like Skira and Nezarec are the same being, and that's why Skira's been mentioned so much. It obviously hasn't been confirmed yet. Anyways, Nezarec does fill all the criteria. Tentacles, he has them on his back, things shows weird butterfly wing things he had in Road of Nightmares. Eyes, he's got 7 of them, and 3 of them have vertical slits. Plus, he's also stated as feeding off fear, and his consciousness persists after death, so his consciousness could have, drifted up to the Ascendant Plane after Revenant. But, even with all of this, Bungie will probably just make the Lord of Every Nothing a new character, I know that it sucks, but knowing that, that's probably what's going to happen. Anyways, that's it for my first lore video. I had a lot of fun making this, digging around the lore, stuff like that. I hope you liked it, found it entertaining, Please like, comment, subscribe, share if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.